The Roots Beneath Black Hollow, Part 3 of 4, The Sea Beneath the Soil. The storm came at dawn. No clouds had gathered, yet rain fell in thick, oily drops that stung the skin and left trails like ink. The valley trembled with each roll of thunder that wasn't thunder. Beneath their feet, the ground throbbed, steady as a heartbeat. Edward Harland lay pale on the floor of Thorne's abandoned cabin, his arm blackened to the shoulder, veins pulsing with faint green light. Lydia knelt beside him, trying to wash the mark, but the water hissed as it touched his skin. "Don't," he rasped. "It feeds on water." She pulled back, trembling. "Edward, please, what is happening to you?" He stared through her, eyes glazed, voice distant. "It's showing me things. The sea that sleeps below the roots, cities older than men, the world before ours. It remembers Thorne stood by the window, rifle clutched tight. We have to get out of the hollow. Whatever's down there, it's spreading fast." But when they stepped outside, escape was already impossible. The forest had changed overnight. The trees leaned inward, their trunks bending unnaturally as if drawn by gravity toward the heart of the valley. Roots writhed across the ground like snakes, pulsing faintly. The air smelled of salt. Lydia looked to the hills. They were gone. The valley had sunk, its rim collapsed into a wide, shallow basin that gleamed with black water. It wasn't rain pooling there, it was rising. Thorne's voice broke, the hollows flooding from underneath. A low moan echoed through the forest, too deep to be human. The sound came from everywhere at once, from the soil, the trees, the very air around them. Edward swayed on his feet, clutching his head. "It's calling. I can hear it clearer now." Lydia grabbed him. "Don't listen." But his voice had changed, layered with something not human. "We're only echoes, Lydia. It was here before us. We were grown from its seed." She slapped him, tears spilling. "You're not one of them. You're my husband." For a moment, clarity returned to his eyes. He gripped her hand weakly. "Then help me fight it before it takes me completely." The ground shook violently. Cracks split the soil, black water bubbling up from below. From the fissures, pale tendrils emerged, translucent and glistening, writhing toward the sky. They pulsed with the same rhythm as Edward's veins. Thorne fired at one, the bullet sinking in with no effect. "Move!" "We can't stay here." They ran uphill toward the old sawmill, one of the last standing structures in Black Hollow. The road had vanished beneath black mud that seemed to move of its own will. Each step was like wading through something alive. When they reached the mill, the air was thick with mist and rot. The great water wheel creaked, though no water touched it. Inside, the floorboards were slick and soft beneath their boots. Lydia froze. "This wood, it's breathing." Indeed, the walls seemed to flex slightly, expanding and contracting as if inhaling. Between the planks, dark fluid oozed and dripped into the cracks below. Thorne cursed. "It's spreading through everything." The hollows turning into it, Edward sank to his knees, clutching his chest. "It's not trying to destroy us," he gasped. "It's absorbing us, reclaiming what belongs to it." He looked up at them, eyes glowing faintly green. "We're made of the same matter, the same ancient sea clay. That's why it can reach us. We've only forgotten." Lydia shook him violently. "Edward, stop! You're scaring me." He smiled faintly, a terrifying calm in his voice. "It's not fear, Lydia. It's memory." A deafening crack split the air. The ground outside ruptured, and the mill tilted as one side sank into the rising flood. Black water surged through the doorway, cold as death. Lydia screamed as something brushed her leg beneath the surface, a slick, muscular coil sliding past. Thorn fired again, the muzzle flash lighting the water. For an instant, she saw what moved below, an eye the size of a plate staring up from the depths, its pupil a vertical slit glowing faintly green. The water erupted. A mass of pale tendrils burst upward, slamming into the rafters and tearing through the roof. The air filled with a smell like brine and rot. Thorn grabbed Lydia and pulled her toward the window. "Go!" "What about Edward?" she shouted. He turned and froze. Edward was standing in the center of the flooding mill, water swirling around him waist deep. His body glowed with that same pulsating light, and his face was serene. The black mark had spread across his chest like coral. "Edward!" Lydia cried. He looked at her, and when he spoke, his voice was not entirely his own. "It's too late. I see now. I am part of it." The tendrils coiled around him gently, almost lovingly, and drew him downward into the water. The surface rippled, then went still. Lydia screamed until her throat tore. Thorn dragged her out the window as the entire structure collapsed behind them, consumed by the black flood. They stumbled through the forest, the sky darkening unnaturally fast. The mist glowed faintly green now, pulsing like breath. Every tree around them leaned toward the hollow's center, their roots tearing free of the ground to reach downward. When they reached high ground, they turned back. The valley below was gone, replaced by a vast black lake stretching from ridge to ridge. The surface churned with shapes that were not waves, coils and ridges, pale and shifting like something vast moving beneath. Lydia fell to her knees. "He's down there," she whispered. "He's still alive." Thorn wiped the rain, or perhaps tears, from his face. "No one's alive in that." But even as he spoke, a faint glow rose from the lake, a pulsating green light spreading outward in rings. From the center, a shape emerged, massive and formless, its surface slick and glistening like wet stone. It rose higher, higher, until it blotted out the stars. The air shook with its breath. Lydia stared up, her voice barely a whisper. "It's the sea." Thorn's voice broke. "No, it's what the sea came from. The creature, or perhaps the landscape itself, moved with impossible slowness, unfolding like a continent awakening. It had no clear form, only shifting masses that suggested eyes, mouths, and tendrils that reached into the forest. A voice filled the valley, not sound, but thought. The hollow remembers. The roots are veins. The soil is flesh. Return to the beginning. Lydia clutched her head. Screaming, blood ran from her nose. The voice was too vast, too ancient for her mind to hold. Thorn tried to pull her back, but the ground beneath them split open. From the crack, black water gushed upward, carrying fragments of bone and stone that looked almost carved. In that water, something stirred. Faces, thousands of them, human and not, drifting just below the surface. Thorn fired blindly into the rift. "Stay back!" The bullet struck something that shrieked, a sound that rattled his teeth. He stumbled backward, tripping over roots that twisted like serpents. Lydia stood at the edge, transfixed. "It's showing me," she murmured, "the beginning, when it ruled the world. Before the land rose, before we forgot." She stepped closer. "Lydia, no!" Thorn shouted. She turned to him, eyes glowing faint green. "He's waiting for me." Then she stepped into the water and vanished without a ripple. Thorn fell to his knees, the rain pouring harder now, though he knew it wasn't rain. It was the hollow's breath rising from below. Behind him, the forest groaned, the trees bending low until their branches touched the ground. The entire valley pulsed like a living heart, and somewhere deep below, the ancient thing stirred fully awake.